everything will stay lawful.
What happens when a wife tries to fix a quiet marriage by letting her boss give the attention her husband will not? How does a public, lawful answer land when the whole office watches? Why did I not see the calm steps he took while I chased cameras and praise? Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. I'm Eulalie Vesper, 32, and I plan projects at a design agency. I like applause. My husband, Jonah Reed, 34, is a paramedic who likes quiet and early walks. He said love was not a stage. I said attention kept love alive. My boss, Damian Kroll, 41, praised my ideas in loud rooms. He said I deserved the spotlight. I said I worked better with praise. That is how it started in my head. A fair trade, not a line crossed. At home, I set 2 mugs on opposite counters and told myself it was just design. Jonah asked for a simple dinner. I said I had a mixer and a post to schedule. He asked for calm. I said calm could come after the launch. He looked tired and turned his phone screen down. A small alert flashed first. Downtown 9:35 a.m. He dismissed it. At work, Paula from HR asked for a quick word about optics. I said the team liked warmth. Damian stood close during photos and called it mentoring. Friends commented hearts. My mother called me passionate. Jonah grew careful, not cruel, distant. I said distance was a test. I said I knew how to pass. I woke before the alarm and opened the curtains to make a soft morning video. I set the phone against the sugar jar and framed the counter like a magazine spread. 2 plates, 2 forks, the good jam. I placed 2 mugs on opposite ends because it looked balanced in the shot. I told myself this was design, not distance. Jonah came in quiet from an early run and asked if we could have a plain dinner tonight. I said I had a mixer after work and had to post a teaser. He said rest would help more than posts. I said posts fed the machine that paid the rent. He said his shifts paid the rent too. I smiled and said both truths could live in one house if we tried. I slid oatmeal toward him and opened my planner. I listed mixer looks, caption bank, and client deck tweaks. Jonah watched me write and asked if we could focus on us this week. I said we would after the launch glow. He said glow faded fast and left noise. I said noise was interest. He said interest was effort, not volume. I told myself he liked to sound wise when he was just tired. He turned his phone face down on the table, but not before a small reminder flashed. It said, downtown 9:35 a.m. He tapped it away with 2 fingers, neat and fast. I asked if he had errands. He said he had personal things. I said, personal sounded like a secret. He said privacy was not betrayal. I said, marriage made privacy heavy. He said quiet could be healthy. I said quiet in my head felt like winter. He went to shower. I sent a quick message to Damian about the mixer entrance. I said the string lights should start warm, not cold. He replied almost at once and said the warm bulbs had been ordered for my glow. I told myself it was leadership. I typed a thank you that leaned too sweet, then edited it down to neutral. My mother messaged that I should stop playing small. She said applause was my climate. I said I was trying. She said anyone who loved me would clap too. On the stairwell landing, Jonah's towel left a damp line on the banister. He called out that he would be back by 5. I said I needed him at 7 for a photo and a toast. He said he might be late due to a call rotation. I said the team expected the spouse to appear because it calmed rumors. He asked what rumors. I said people always made stories when a woman rose. He said people would make fewer stories if we told less. I said telling was half my job. He shook his head and left with his bag. The front door latch clicked like a period. I worked from the kitchen table. The printer hummed once, then stopped. A blank page slid out and sat in the tray like a dare. I held it up to the light and laughed at myself. I told myself devices acted up when rooms felt tense. I opened Jonah's laptop to AirPlay a mood board to the TV, then stopped when I saw a spreadsheet. It had initials and dates and neat checkboxes. No letterheads, no labels, only order. I heard his key in the lock and snapped the lid shut the way I close a cosmetic case. He walked in for a forgotten pen and asked if I needed anything. I said I was fine. He slipped the pen behind his ear and locked the small desk drawer with a soft click. I said he did not trust me. He said a tidy desk calmed his head. I said the lock felt like a wall. He said walls protected fragile things. I said our love was not fragile. He said then the lock should not bother me. At the office, I sank into the open plan noise. Rafi waved his coffee and asked if the boss planned to put me on stage tonight. I said it was just a mixer. He said he had seen the placement chart and my name sat under the spotlight. I laughed like it was a joke and said Damien loved symmetry. Paula from HR stopped by our pod and asked if we had a moment later. She said she wanted to discuss optics for client-facing events. I said of course and promised I would keep work clean and fun. She said clean came before fun. I said the order was noted. Damien made his rounds. He stood behind my chair longer than a normal check-in. He said my deck was crisp and my voice on the brand was rare. I said the team had built the deck together. He said the team did not glow. I glowed. I told myself he was cultivating talent, not me. Rafi raised his brows and turned back to his screen. I answered an email and scheduled a post about team wins with a cropped image of me at the whiteboard. The comments began to land fast, full of claps and little crowns. I told myself this was healthy and simple. Around noon, I ran to the corner supermarket for fruit and cold brew. Mrs. Alvarez from our building stood in line with dish soap and tulips. She asked if Jonah looked tired to me lately. I said paramedics always looked tired. It meant they were heroes. She said heroes needed quiet houses. I said quiet houses bored me. She smiled the way elders do when they decide not to argue. Outside, I took a selfie with the tulips in the frame and wrote a caption about bright days and bright teams. Back at my desk, I finalized the mixer RSVP sheet. I placed myself near the welcome arch. I placed Jonah by the photo backdrop for 10 minutes only, like bait. I told myself he would relax once he saw how desired I was, and then he would step forward and claim me with pride. I sent him the plan and a soft message. I said the team wanted to meet him. He replied with a thumbs up and the word noted. I told myself he was shy with jokes. In the late afternoon, Paula called me into the HR room. The ceiling lights were too white. She asked if I felt comfortable with Damien's public attention. I said it was mentorship. She asked if I understood power dynamics. I said I managed them as part of my role. She asked if I could keep personal warmth off camera. I said warmth sold, but I could angle it toward the team. She said she expected me to be careful at the mixer. I said she could trust me. She looked at my phone on the table and told me no more couple energy posts with the boss. I said I heard her. She asked how Jonah felt. I said he preferred quiet and that I was teaching him that attention could be safe. She said partners could be right about safety. I said I would keep my eyes open. Evening shadows reached across the office floor. I filmed a walking shot to the elevator, all confidence and clean lines. The frame made me taller than I am. Outside, I took the metro home and rehearsed how I would place my hand on Jonah's shoulder during the toast. I planned how Damien would stand 2 steps away so the shot showed choice and restraint. I promised myself I would not cross a line. I said I only wanted a reaction. At home, the apartment smelled faintly of toner again. The desk was clear. The desktop screen showed a tidy tree with folders named Archive A and Archive B. 2 mugs waited on far counters, like chess pieces left mid-game. I lit a candle and timed the flame for a short story. I told myself I could still control the frame and keep the world sweet. I reached for my phone to check the timer. I arrived early at the office and set a tray of muffins by the entry, like a small peace offering. I told myself, sugar softened judgment. Rafi passed with a grin and asked if Damien would open the mixer by praising my deck. I said he liked to push his best people. Rafi said the floor believed I was the favorite. I said favorites were a myth and the work spoke. He laughed like he did not believe me and returned to his screen. I opened my laptop and checked overnight tags. A short clip from yesterday showed Damien standing behind me at the copier. His hand hovered too near my waist while he pointed at a line. I remembered the moment and told myself it was nothing. The comments read like a wink. I changed the view to private and told myself I had solved it. Paula messaged that she wanted a quick word before noon. I typed a friendly yes and added a smile I did not feel. Damien arrived with the easy stride he used for entrances. He asked if I had slept. I said I had slept well and had the mixer plan ready. He said the clients liked the hint of romance in brand stories. I said our brand sold trust, not gossip. He laughed and said the world believed romance proved trust. I said the world liked boundaries too. He told me to relax and said he would steer if I froze. I said I did not freeze. He touched my shoulder in a way cameras love and moved on to the next pod. I watched two coworkers lift their phones as if they had an itch. At 10, I stepped into the HR room. Paula had that calm face she wore for difficult topics. She asked if I felt pressure to mirror Damien's style. I said I matched tone for clients, not for him. She asked how I felt about the copier clip. I said angles lie. She said angles quickly become facts online. I said I could post team shots only. She asked if Jonah knew about the tags. I said Jonah hated social noise and preferred quiet. She said the office must not become another version of noise. I said I understood and would keep the mixer clean. She said she would hold me to that. Back at my desk, I saw a group chat explode with a collage. A coworker had stitched several innocuous moments into a playful thread. Damien leaning in, me laughing, a caption about creative chemistry. I typed a quick note asking the team to keep client spaces clear of jokes. Rafi replied that it was harmless. I wrote that harmless had a cost. Damien sent me a private thumbs up as if I had done a brave thing. I could almost hear him clapping in his head. At lunch, I went home to change my shoes and grab a blazer. The apartment had that orderly feeling that now made me nervous. Mail sat in neat stacks, but several envelopes had been flipped face down. A thin binder labeled utilities lay open, thicker than any bill pack. I saw clear sleeves, no titles, just tidy order. I called out that I was home in case Jonah had doubled back. Silence answered, then a buzz on the counter. His watch lit and showed a card. Meeting, personal 10:45 a.m. It had already passed, so I knew he had been somewhere without telling me. I told myself it was a repair errand or a form. On the desk sat an unsealed envelope in the outbox. I touched the edge and pulled back like it was warm. I changed shoes in the bedroom and checked the mirror. I told myself the blazer would read professional and unromantic. I told myself the mixer could be safe if I held my own line. In the kitchen, I made 2 mugs of tea by habit, then poured one down the sink. The second mug felt heavier than it should. I set it on the far counter, where his mug used to stand, and watched steam rise like a signal no one would read. On the way back to work, I stopped at the supermarket for cut fruit. Mrs. Alvarez caught me by the flower buckets and asked how Jonah liked the rooftop view last night. I said he preferred the ground. She asked if he was okay because she had seen him park the car facing the street, which he never did before. I said he liked easy exits for early shifts. She said early exits solved some problems. I said we were fine and thanked her for the tulip tip she always gave. She smiled like a person who had already decided to pray. On the metro, 2 students scrolled through a sped-up remix of my copier clip. They said the boss looked obsessed. They said I looked ready to be rescued. I looked at my reflection in the window and told myself rescue was not the story. I told myself excellence was the story. I sent Jonah a message that said I would be home late, due to the mixer. He sent a short reply that said, "Noted." I told myself he was busy saving lives and could not chat. A second later, I imagined him choosing the word on purpose. Back at the office, Paula did a soft lap around the floor like a referee before a game. I kept my head down and redlined a brief. Rafi dropped a link to the seating chart and asked if I had seen the client's new +1s. I said yes and suggested moving the photographer outward to stop crowding. He said that was smart and asked if Jonah would still come. I said he would make a short appearance if his shift allowed. He asked if I was sure that would help optics. I said married stability calmed rumors. He nodded in a way that looked like doubt more than agreement. I took a call in a quiet booth and heard the faint hum of a shredder through the phone from home, or maybe from a nearby office. I told myself I was being paranoid and took a deep breath. The booth smelled like old coffee. Damien texted that he had arranged the lighting to match my skin tone. I replied with a thumbs up and no words. He sent another line that said, "Tonight would be my moment." I typed that tonight belonged to the brand and deleted the sentence before sending it, because it sounded preachy. In the afternoon, I checked our shared digital calendar and saw Jonah had added a recurring item marked "Meeting," personal without details. The time shifted each day. It looked like floating dots across the week. I closed the tab and pretended I had not looked. I told myself he had started therapy and did not want to say. I told myself therapy was healthy and had nothing to do with me. I rehearsed a short greeting for the mixer. I wrote lines about teamwork, trust, and safe spaces. I told myself I would not stand too close to anyone. I told myself I would make Jonah proud by acting like a leader. Paula passed by and asked if we were ready. I said yes and kept my eyes steady. She said she counted on me to keep the line bright. I said she could. At 4:30, I posted a harmless graphic about community. The likes came fast. A stranger tagged me in a behind-the-scenes clip where Damien adjusted my lapel again. I felt heat move up my neck. I sent a soft request to remove the tag. The stranger replied with a heart and a wink. I watched the clip stay up anyway. I tried to calm my hands by organizing pens. I told myself organization equalized breath. Rafi tossed me a spare lanyard and said the welcome arch wanted me at 6 sharp. I said I would be there, clear and crisp. Paula messaged that she needed 5 minutes before showtime. I typed yes with an exclamation and closed my eyes for one count. When I opened them, the copier clip had reached a larger account. The caption said I looked like art under direction. I hated how that sounded and still felt a small lift in my chest. I told myself the lift meant success, not danger. My phone buzzed again, with a calendar ping I had not set. Jonah shared a tiny household event titled Drop-Off, then deleted it a second later. I stared at the blank space where it had been. I reached the rooftop early and checked the lights. The bulbs glowed warm, just like I had asked. I told the host that the welcome arch should be my mark and that the photographer should keep a clean line behind me. He said timing would be tight. I said timing loved me. I placed name cards and breathed like a person who owned the air. Damien came up the stairs with 2 account leads and asked if the skyline looked right. I said it was perfect and said we would keep it classy. He said the clients wanted color. I said color would arrive when I walked to the arch. Guests started to fill the space with the easy sound of plates and soft music. The city looked like a stage that had waited for me. Damien stood close enough to brush my sleeve when he reached for a glass. He said the brand loved human stories. I said the brand loved trust and order. He laughed and said trust and order followed a good star. I told myself he meant the work. Rafi passed by and said my deck had already moved a number. I said the number would rise when the toast landed. He said phones were eager. I sent Jonah a short note that said he could come for 10 minutes near 7. He replied with a single word that said noted. I told myself he was midway through a call or a report. I posed the check-in table so the line would pass me. I smiled at old clients, new clients, and anyone with a camera. My mother sent a heart emoji to my story. Maya did not send anything. I told myself she was busy with her son's homework. Damien liked to perform arrivals. He guided a client to my side and said I was the reason the mood felt safe. I said, the team built the mood. The client said, leadership mattered most, and glanced at Damien's hand near my elbow. I kept my body still and my face bright. A junior staffer lifted a phone for a quick clip. I said the night was about community and framed my voice around that word. The junior tagged me anyway, with a caption about creative chemistry. I hit save and told myself I would clean it later. 7 came, and Jonah stepped out of the elevator, clean and steady. He wore a simple shirt and no smile. He shook Damien's hand the exact right length. Damien said he was glad to finally meet the brave husband. Jonah said he was here for a short time. I said the light was kind right now. He said he did not care about light. I said the clients did. He looked at me like a person who was counting seconds. I guided him to the arch for one photo. He stood with space between us. I said the space read cold on camera. He said cameras were not his boss. I said attention helped us both. He said attention helped me. I felt heat go up my neck and told myself to keep the frame. I greeted a new team and put Jonah near the photo wall just long enough for a simple shot. He thanked the host and stepped back toward the railing. He did not take a drink. He refused champagne with a polite shake of his head. A few guests whispered that he was strict. I said he had an early shift. I said it with a proud tone, like a full sentence. Damien moved into the center on cue and asked me to help start the toast. I said the brand was about trust and calm joy. Phones rose. I gestured toward Jonah with an open palm and said he supported my late nights. He stared at the skyline and did not wave. Someone near the DJ called for a kiss to bless the pitch. The chant gathered like weather. I stood very still. I told myself to turn to my husband and end this with a clean arc. At that exact second, Damien leaned a tiny bit closer as he handed me a glass. The cameras caught the angle. My chest tightened, and I shifted half a step toward the noise so the shot would not die. Jonah watched the city, not me. The chant softened, then moved into a second, sharper wave. A junior shouted that heroes deserved thanks. I said I would thank all heroes after the toast and kept my voice bright. Damien whispered that the moment needed heat. I said the moment needed focus. He laughed under his breath like he knew better. I raised my glass and spoke about the team's work and the trust of the city. The phones kept recording. When I finished, I placed the glass on the table and stepped to the patio edge to breathe. Jonah followed a client's question about emergency kits and spoke with calm detail. He explained radios and backup plans. People listened with respect. I told myself this was my doing because I had brought him here. I told myself he needed public approval like a vitamin. Damien slid beside me and asked if I liked the warm bulbs. I said they were good. He reached to fix my lapel. His fingers were polite but close. A phone caught it. I saw the screen as someone sent the clip to a group chat. I told myself I would not move because moving would make guilt. Staying still felt like virtue. I tried to pull Jonah back into the center with a story about our first apartment and how he handled a leak. I said he was method and strength. He nodded and said he liked order. The word sat heavy in the air. I laughed lightly and said order kept brands alive. He said order kept people safe. I said safety could be boring. He said boredom was a gift some nights. I said the city loved risk. He said the city loved sleep. The DJ raised the volume. Damien said it was time for the real toast. He held out his glass and told the crowd that creative love saved deadlines. The phone swung toward us. A client shouted that the star should pick a hero. I lifted my glass again because I refused to look stiff. I told myself I would point to the team and make it wholesome. Then someone near the bar turned on a small spotlight that found my face and drew a line over to Damien. Jonah stepped 2 paces back to the railing. The shout for a kiss returned, louder. I set down the glass and tried to reset the mood by talking about deliverables. People laughed at the wrong time. Damien said the room needed a beat of warmth and tilted his head toward my shoulder as if to hear a secret. I did not pull away fast enough. The phones recorded the half-second where I accepted the closeness. A client whistled. I said adults kept things professional. Damien smiled and said professionals knew timing. I hated him a little in that moment and still loved how the crowd fed me. I told myself applause could fix tone later. Jonah checked his phone. I saw a card flash on his screen. Downtown 2:50 p.m. tomorrow. He pressed the side button and the card vanished. He put the phone in his pocket and turned toward the elevator. I walked after him and asked if he could stay 5 more minutes for the formal photo. He said he had to head out. I said leaving this early read as cold. He said he preferred cold to chaos. I said chaos was just color. He said he would see me at home. He walked into the elevator without looking back. The bell rang and the doors closed. I went back into the crowd and pulled the meeting toward numbers and milestones. I smiled into 3 phones and told Raffi to start the slide. Damien kept near me. The chant tried again with a smaller group. I laughed it off and said we should honor work, not rumors. I felt lightheaded with praise and dread, like sugar and smoke. I told myself I was still in control because I had said the right words. I reached home after 11. The stairwell was quiet and smelled like laundry. Inside the apartment, the desk lamp was off and the office door stood almost closed. I pushed it with 2 fingers and saw a clean desktop with folders named Archive A and Archive B. I heard a soft beep from Jonah's phone somewhere in the room, like a recording app turning on or off. I said the house liked to mimic machines. The printer hummed and spat a blank page into the tray. I picked it up and felt foolish, like a person holding a white flag to no one. I turned to go, and the small desk drawer clicked as if it had been locked a second before I touched it. I told myself boundaries were fine in theory, then told myself they were cruel in real life. I set the blank page back in the tray and walked to the kitchen. 2 mugs waited on opposite counters, exact and cold. I moved mine next to his for a second, then pushed it back to where it had been. I brought a bowl of pasta salad to the family barbecue at the park and told myself this would fix the story. The field smelled like grass and grills. Maya stood under a tree with paper plates and asked if I wanted help. I said I had it handled. She asked if I was okay after the mixer. I said it was harmless and that people loved to read romance into teamwork. She said boundaries were not a story, but a rule. I said rules were flexible when the outcome was good. She watched me the way teachers watch a noisy class and said quiet often told the truth better. Jonah joined after a morning shift. He looked tidy and washed, but not rested. He set a cooler near the bench and said he would stay a short time. I said he should relax and mingle because the city had liked him in the clips. He said the city's likes did not feed him. I said attention helped our future. He said our future needed respect more than applause. Daria arrived with my aunt and said mixers were meant for fun. Then she told me I should stop worrying and shine. I said I would. Jonah thanked her for bringing fruit and stepped back, polite and measured. Theo ran across the grass with a kite and asked if Uncle Jonah could help make it fly. Jonah knelt and showed him how to pull the line with small, patient tugs. I filmed the moment for a gentle post. Maya asked me not to share the child's face. I said I would crop it and keep it cute. She said privacy mattered first, even cropped. I said people needed proof that we were wholesome. She said we could be wholesome without an audience. I did not answer and focused on framing the string against the sky. When we sat to eat, cousins asked if the rooftop toast had felt important. I said the numbers were strong. Someone said the clip of Damien fixing my lapel had been shared in a group chat. I said angles lied. Jonah ate slowly and listened to everything without comment. Maya asked him if he wanted more water. He said he was fine. Theo tugged my sleeve and asked why Uncle Jonah did not smile in the video with the spotlight. I said adults get tired. Theo asked if I had picked a new work husband. The table went quiet with the soft kind of shock. I laughed and said, children repeat jokes they do not understand. Maya looked at me like that answer was a small match near a dry field. I tried to shift the mood by telling a story about Jonah fixing our sink. I made it sweet and short. Daria laughed and said Jonah was handy and strong. Jonah said he liked simple repairs. Maya asked if I could please keep the office from turning into our home. I said the office already was my second home, and a good home gave warmth. She said warmth had to be clean. I said I knew how to keep clean lines. She said she hoped so. After the barbecue, Jonah said he needed to rest. He left with a gentle wave to Theo. I told Maya we were planning a weekend reset. She said a reset needed truth first. I said truth looked different on camera. She said truth was not for camera. I said she was being dramatic. She said she was being protective of her brother. I said I was protective of my career. She said careers did not require public flirting. I said it was not flirting. She said then I could stop it. I said I would think about tone. She said tone was not the point. At home, the kitchen felt staged again. 2 mugs sat on opposite counters, very exact. I moved them closer and then moved them back because the counter looked better in balance. I told myself the distance was design. I opened the fridge and found a sticky note on the whiteboard that read, "Bring forms." My chest tightened. I told myself it was for taxes. From the office came a soft hum, like a small machine. I followed the sound and stopped at the doorway. The shredder was warm, not hot, like it had run recently. The desk drawer was closed. I heard a footstep in the hall and stepped back quickly, palms smooth, face calm. Jonah walked past and said he needed a shower. I said we could shoot a short couple clip at sunset. He said he would pass. I said a clip would calm the room. He said the room was not our judge. I said the internet was our town now. He said the internet would not attend our kitchen. He placed his keys on the counter. A new, small key hung on the ring, thin and brass. I touched it with a fingertip and asked if he had rented a locker at work. He said he had organized some things. I said organizing felt like punishment. He said organizing felt like peace. I said peace looked cold. He said cold could be steady. I went to our shared tablet to choose music for a story and opened the gallery. Between pictures of the kite and the salad sat a photo of a document, cropped so the text could not be read. My hands tingled. I told myself he had saved a receipt. I told myself any partner would keep records after big purchases. I closed the gallery and reset my face. That evening we had the agency awards night at the community center. I told myself this would be modest and safe, with good light and clear distance. I wore the blazer and low shoes. Paula met me at the door and said she trusted me to keep it professional. I said of course, and that I had prepared remarks about the team. She said she appreciated that and moved to the aisle seat with a small tablet. The crowd clapped for small milestones, and then Damien took the stage. He called me his right hand and said my calm had saved campaigns. He asked me to join him for a quick thank you. I walked up and told myself to stand a full step away. He thanked the team. Then he turned to me with his show voice and said I had the kind of spark that built trust. The room clapped. I said the team did the work, and I kept my tone flat and clean. He reached to steer me toward the mic for a photo. I held my posture and did not lean. Cameras still made the line look thin. I looked down into the crowd for Jonah. He sat near the back, posture straight, hands folded, attention steady but unreadable. He clapped once when the slide with my name appeared. He did not take a picture. I told myself he was being stubborn, not safe. I told myself I should punish him later with charm, and then with silence. After the stage, I tried to guide Jonah into a hallway for a quick couple shot. He said he was not available for content. I said content was not a threat. He said boundaries were not punishment. I said he was starving me of the simple warmth any husband would give. He said he would not fake warmth for a camera. I said faking warmth was kindness when a brand needed calm. He said he would not live as an alibi. I felt my mouth form a smile anyway, because people passed us with phones in their hands. Rafi came by with his lanyard and said my speech had moved a number again. I said that was the point. He glanced at Jonah and then at Damien waiting by the stage door. He said the team chat was running bets on the headline tomorrow. I said the headline would be clean. Paula stepped close and asked if I was okay. I said perfect. She looked at Jonah and then down at her tablet again. We left early. Outside on the steps, the air felt cooler than it should. Maya texted Jonah that she had Theo settled. Daria texted me that I looked like a star. I posted a safe photo of the team wall and typed a caption about steady hands. The comments started kind and then shifted, as they always do, to guessing games about chemistry. At home, the apartment was dark and orderly. Jonah put a small folded blanket in the guest room and left the door half open. I called it theatrical. He said it was practical. I said practical could wait until after the campaign. He said campaigns ended, consequences did not. I said he was making me the villain to feel noble. He said he was making a choice to stay lawful and calm. I said he always chose cold words. He said cold words were safe words. In the kitchen, I placed 2 mugs close and tried to breathe. My phone buzzed with a group text I did not want to open. I turned to find Jonah by the counter with that steady face. He said he would handle things properly. I said properly sounded like a threat. He said it sounded like a plan. I woke to a quiet house and a loud phone. The reel from awards night had gathered guesses again. I typed polite replies about teams and trust, then I stopped. The kitchen felt arranged like a set. 2 mugs stood on opposite counters. I moved them together for a photo and then slid them back. I told myself balance looked better than truth. Jonah walked in from the hallway with a folded blanket. He said he would use the guest room for a while. I said that sounded dramatic. He said it sounded practical. I said practical during a launch felt rude. He said he would not argue. At the agency, Paola sent a note asking for a follow-up. I said I could meet after lunch. She said a quick word sooner would help. I said I was in transit. I was not. I went to the co-working space near the station because I needed a neutral desk. The lobby smelled like coffee and paper. I found a corner seat and opened my laptop to plan a soft reset post. Across the lounge, Jonah sat with headphones on. He did not see me at first. He had 3 slim binders on the table: home, auto, bank. He slid a thin envelope inside a folder and checked a small notepad with neat lines. A clipboard lay beside him with a single word visible at the top: statement. I told myself he was paying bills like a responsible man. He wore a calm face that made me feel loud. Omar from his EMS unit walked by and tapped the table. Jonah nodded and pointed at a list. Omar gave a small thumbs up and left. I watched Jonah remove a tiny USB stick labeled with today's date. He taped it under a folder marked taxes, then took a photo of the page with his phone. A Cloud Sync pop-up blinked on his screen. File uploaded successfully. He closed the window at once. I pretended to type. My heart thudded like footsteps. Jonah looked up and finally saw me. He lifted a hand in a polite hello and came over. He asked if I needed the corner to myself. I said I was fine. I asked if he wanted coffee. He said he would pass. I asked if he was angry. He said he was focused. I said focus felt like punishment. He said focus felt like a plan. I asked what plan. He said the kind that kept things lawful and clear. I laughed and said he was making a drama. He said we would avoid drama. His phone buzzed. A small alarm lit the screen. Paper drop 11:05 a.m. He pressed dismiss without looking at me. I said that title sounded intense. He said it was simple. I said I hated secrets. He said these were not secrets, they were arrangements. I asked if we could talk after my mixer recap. He said he had a shift and then a personal meeting. I asked the time. He said 1:15 p.m. His watch showed a tiny card. Meeting. Personal. 1:15 p.m. He pressed the crown, and it disappeared. I packed my bag because my skin prickled. In the elevator, I wrote a note to myself that said, "Make Jonah chase me." I added a plan for a weekend reset, no cameras. On the sidewalk, I deleted the note. I told myself I would charm him into a photo first, then I would surprise him with rest. The day felt like glass. Back at the office, Paula asked me to step into HR. She said the awards night looked better than the mixer but still too warm. I said I had stayed a full step away from Damien. She said the audience could not measure steps. They measured tone. I said tone would cool. She said cooling now was required. She asked if I had told my boss to keep distance. I said I had. She said she would hold me to it. She asked how Jonah was. I said he was fine and a little dramatic. She said calm could look like drama if I wanted heat. I said I wanted stability. She said stability had rules. I left HR and stared at my reflection in the glass. I posted a simple photo of a notebook and wrote that steady work builds trust. Comments were kind. Damien sent me a selfie in soft light with a wink. He wrote that the clients wanted more human content. I did not answer. I archived the message and told myself silence was strength. At lunch, I walked home for a change of shoes. The apartment felt like someone had vacuumed the noise out. The guest bed was neatly made with that tight hotel fold he liked. In the garage, his car faced the street. I said to myself that early exits were logical for an EMS shift. In the office, the desktop was bare. Folders named Archive A and Archive B sat like bookends. Beside the monitor, a single sticky note read, "Bring forms." My stomach pinched. I told myself it was taxes again and not a threat. I checked our shared calendar and saw a dot labeled downtown 7:20 p.m. for tomorrow. There were no notes. I told myself it was a haircut or a dry cleaner. I closed the tab. A message thread on his phone flashed, then locked. Follow up. I reached out and stopped. My hand hung in the air like a wrong line read on stage. I made tea and tried to breathe. When Jonah came in between tasks, I said we could go to the beach promenade this weekend, just us. He said he appreciated the idea. I said we should also take a small photo at sunset tonight and post a nice caption about steady love. He said he would not play a role for a post. I said one picture would stop the rumors. He said rumors were not our judge. I said the team chat loved happy endings. He said the court of the team chat meant nothing to him. I told him he was cruel when he went calm. He said calm was the only way he knew to keep harm small. He moved around the kitchen, light on his feet the way paramedics learn. He split the mail into 2 stacks. He flipped a few pieces face down. He measured space between the mugs with his eyes and left them apart. I took one and pressed it next to the other. He looked at me and did not move. I pushed mine back to my side because it felt like losing to leave it close. Late afternoon, I sat on the balcony and drafted a notes app apology for the audience. I wrote that I blurred lines and would do better. I wrote that Jonah was private and that privacy could be love too. I read it twice and deleted it. I told myself, apologies invite blood. Damien messaged again about a late drink with the client. I typed that I would pass and that Paula had asked for clean lines. He sent a laughing emoji and said I had become strict. I put the phone face down and watched a cloud move. Inside, I heard the faint hum of the shredder and the soft click of a drawer. Near 6, I went back in and found Jonah by the counter. He looked rested and firm. I said we should talk. He said we would. I said I needed him to stand beside me online just once. He said he would not. I said the silence was killing me. He said the silence was saving us from worse. I called him cold. He said he was careful. I said careful men lose their wives. He said careless wives lose themselves. I told him he was making me the villain so he could be noble. He said he was choosing to be lawful. His watch chimed softly. A tiny card lit. Meeting. Personal 1:15 p.m. He tapped it away. He picked up a small bag and checked the zipper. He said he would handle everything properly. I said properly sounded like a threat. He said properly meant rules, not rage. I said rules made love small. He said rules made damage smaller. He set his mug down and turned toward the hall. His phone buzzed with a calendar hint, then went dark. I stood still and tried to smile the way I do when strangers watch me. My mouth would not obey. He said he would be back later and asked if I needed anything from the store. I said no. He nodded once. I carried cupcakes into the office tower lobby at noon, planning a cheerful post for Paula. Jonah stood by the directory. A man stepped forward, said my name, and held an envelope. I heard petition and temporary orders and hearing date. It listed status quo on assets, interim apartment and car schedule, and rules about contact. Security watched. Paula froze on the mezzanine. I said it was a mistake. The server said service was complete. Jonah said he would keep everything lawful. The printer at the desk spooled, spit a blank page. The revolving door turned. He did not return. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.